में रखना, कबहू न हिंसा करना रे, ऊंच नीच का भेद न करना, सब में क्षमता रखना रे, सब में क्षमता रखना रे, सिया राम मन सब जग जानो, सिया राम मन जानो रे. Thank you. Today's Vivek Vani. Education is not the amount of information that is put into your brain and runs riot there, undigested all your life. We must have life building, man making, character making assimilation of ideas. If you have assimilated 5 ideas and made them your life and character, you have more education than any man who has got by heart the whole library. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sutri Pragya. Sutri Pragya is a scholar and he is associated with this activity since long. On behalf of this, Sutri Pragya should be continue with us. So, as I stated, this is the activities of education by the Moga Education Council. Moga Shiksha Parishad or Moga Education Council is a constituent part of Swami Vivekananda Loka Sansad, which is working for the charity of this country. It is purely a non-profitable organization and looking towards the bona fide of this country as particular. This activity, what we are going to organize today, is workshop on questionnaire design, particularly for the research scholars who are engaged with these research activities in the groups. So now I request our Dr. Padma Lochan Brahman, who is associate of this organization, who is associate of this activity, to introduce about the detail of this workshop as well as the research person. Now I request Professor Brahman to look ahead.
Very good morning and hearty welcome to the Moga Education Council's workshop. It's a one-day national e-workshop on questionnaire design. So before that, let me introduce, I have the privilege to introduce Professor Dr. Minaketan Behera sir, who specializes in labor studies in the School of Social Sciences, Jawaharlal Nehru University, and also the national convener of Moga Shiksha Parishad Education Council of Swami Vivekananda Loka Sansad. He has been very active since last more than 15 national webinars where he has spoken on various subjects relating to research methodology and on NPE 2022 national policy, numbers of such events. So he has established himself as a very good scholar, not just in Odisha but all over India, and he inspires the students all around him, very fond of students who genuinely wants our students to develop this research skill and kind of research orientations, so that our students, those who are in the learning stage, in the higher centers of educations, so so that they can be benefited a lot. So as we know, this Swami Vivekananda Loka Sansad, as was mentioned by our coordinator, that it is a non-profitable organizations which organizes numbers of things throughout the year for the benefits of the society and the nations. So today's topic is about the questionnaire design. One of the core area in the collection of data collection, especially the primary data collections, where numbers of methods are there, such as observational method, interview method. Then there is the collection of data through questionnaire, through schedules, and also there are other schedules which can be differentiated from questionnaire. And in the course of his deliverance, he will be mentioning certain standard guidelines for the construction of questionnaire and to conduct a successful interview. As we know, especially this interview schedule is made on descriptive type of research. Also, it performs certain kinds of survey, especially sample survey, census survey, and which helps in obtaining primary data. The importance of this topic can be known as it is a very popular, especially in macro inquiries field, and it is undertaken either through post or through email, and it is extensively used by scholars, academicians, and others, especially in social science. So the main aspects of questionnaires as considered by the various scholars is the heart of survey operations. So here we will be learning from Professor Behera the question sequence, the question formulations and wording, and essentials of good questionnaires. So these are the things which today we are going to learn from our honorable Professor Behera sir. So now I invite Professor Behera to carry out the onward activities of our e-workshops. Professor Behera.
Sir, you're muted. Please
Okay,
unmute
sir.
your mic.
Good morning to everybody. So motive of this course is already explained by sir. So my as a teacher, that I know the what type of students are facing the problem, the topic that we are going to discuss. So maybe I will speak for maybe 1 hour 30 minutes. Then whatever the doubts that you have, you will try to write or raise your hand and ask me related to research methodology, particularly for your PhD work. Any research, not only in the questionnaire design. So I think so. I will share. So if you go for, I hope you just look at it. This if you go for the slide is visible. Just a household schedule. Anyone?
Yes,
Just
sir.
please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you just look at it. So I think before I go to my detailed lecture on this issue. So please just look at it. This is a schedule or questionnaire. I will explain whenever we'll go for the difference between questionnaire and schedule, but you just look at it. So if you go for schedule or a questionnaire, so that is nothing but a set of questions. You just look at it. This is a household schedule. I hope it is visible. You just look at your district, name of the district, name of the block, name of the Gram Panchayat, name of the village, name of the helmet. Okay, so just look at it. This is a, that we have conducted a survey. So using this schedule, so you just look at it, how we have prepared. Then I will go for the explanation that is there. Please, so if you go for generally, so head of the household who provide the information for our research work. So if you go for the first part, basically the socio-demographic profile of the respondent. You just look at it. I hope it is visible. You just look at the name of the respondent, age of the respondent, the gender of the respondent, your all the religions or type of family. Okay, you just look at it. So now earlier, if you go for, so there is not concept of coding. You just look at it. So now whenever you will enter the data into SPSS, Tata, eViews, R, Excel, or anywhere, remember one thing. So you have to, there is need of coding. You just look at it. I have used male for 1, 2 for female, 3 for third gender. You can just maybe if you, I hope everyone knows, those who are present. You just look at the this first the course, the schedule. Then I will explain each point. Just look at it. So you just category of household, whether it is BPL or APL, number, whether they have joined in the self-help group, the number of family members. You just look at it. This is, I hope it is visible. Demographic characteristics of household members.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah, just look at it. So this is very, very essential, and it is common to everyone. It is common. You talk about all the unit level data. You just look at it, all the unit level data. You talk about your NSSO or any survey that you are going to conduct. So you will find, just look at it. So basically, the demographic characteristics of the, if you go for the household member. So the respondent who will provide the information. So this all the information, you just look at it. Name of the, how many family members are in your family? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then relation, those who are providing this information, that we call as a relation to the respondent. You just look at it. So maybe father, maybe mother, maybe wife, maybe son, maybe daughter, maybe brother. So any information that you want to collect. Okay, so you as a researcher, you have to very clearly put these informations and code accordingly of your choice. I will explain detail. So now, if you go for your gender, male, female, transgender, you code it. Then married, unmarried, widow, whatever, divorce, any other that you want to. Then your education, which is very, very important parameter for your socio-economic dimension. Whether you are literate, whether illiterate, whether primary, whether upper primary, whether educate, graduate, whether postgraduate, whether PhD. So either any professional course, whatever this. And you remember immediately, so there is a coding for that. You just look at it, 1 for this, 2 for this, 3 for this, whatever code that you have to immediately put on that. Then exactly, if you go for occupations, okay, so you just look at the settled cultivator, tenant cultivator. So because this is with respect to your objective of the study, with respect to your research problem that you want to find out answer to that problem. Okay, say similarly your major income, minor income, you know, I will explain these terms and place of occupations. Oh, this is a survey before 10 years, after 10 years. So this is general information. You just look at it. Then I will explain only for your understanding, I have provide you just household information. You just look at it, whether it is kacha house, whether it is semi-paka house, whether it is whatever, and different features of the whether drinking water availability, whether it's separate kitchen room is there, or whatever. You all the information. I hope it is visible. You just for your benefit, just practical experience. Just I am showing this slide. Then you just look at, because our objective was the income. We want to calculate the income from wage labor, income from livestock, income from different sources. You just look at it. So agricultural land possessions. So income from you just agriculture, income from livestock, income from your forest produce. Okay, so you just look at it. Suppose here. So what are the different types of forest products the tribal people collect for their livelihood? The total amount of forest product they are collecting, what amount they are consuming for themselves, what amount they are selling in the market, and what is the per kg. Remember one thing, always will take the local price. So in order to calculate the income from this product. Okay, so these are these. You just look at it. So income from the non-timber forest product. So income from the wage labor. So that means, so how many days you are working in a 1 month? So what is yours, the wage rate that you are getting? So okay, so you have to ask in that manner. You just look at it. So this is the general idea to show you. This is the experience. You just look at it. So maybe income from the art and craft. So because the study is based on the tribal, so you just look at it. We have developed, I say that your questionnaire or schedule should be developed with respect to your research objective. So I have just with our research objective is that. So I want to calculate what extent the tribal people depend upon the forest resources for their livelihood. Basically, this was the objective of that. So you just look at it. So I have then you are saving. Then you have taken your household assets. You just look at it, monthly consumption, because we have taken into account. So what is the amount for food consumption? What is the non-food item? So you just look at it, the social. If you go for tribals, so they have huge expenditure on social ceremony. So all this dimension that we have taken into account, you health parameter, you just look at it, what are the frequency, all these dimension, health dimensions that we have taken into this. Okay, so what is the potential source of income available in that area? So that like this. This is the household. Other dimensions are there. This is also village information that we call as the village schedule. So basically, this village schedule will provide you some information about your information about the village that you want to collect. So you want to collect geographical area, male, female population, land holding, health infrastructure, whatever the facilities available, basically to provide a view of this particular village that you want to survey. OSC household, OBC household, general household. So these are the picture of this. Okay. So these are on many other dimensions are there. We are not going for this. What are the health facility, police station, near bus stand, bus connectivity, different dimension. I hope everyone, those who are present here, you have idea. This is the only, so I show you that this is the practical way that you have to assess this, develop the questionnaire. Okay, with this amount, maybe after this, I will explain more this on this. So now the main idea, the topic that I want to discuss here, I hope this slide is visible. Questionnaire design slide is visible?
Yes, sir. Visible.
Yeah. Now you just look at it. Now the main thing, because I'm not able to see anyone, please, whenever you are not able to listen, you just stop me and ask. Okay, you just look at it. So if you go for, so first you have to ask yourself, what is the difference between questionnaire and schedule? Okay, so if you go for, remember one thing, when you say questionnaire, when you say schedule, you just look at it. I hope I have, if you go for, just look at it. Is it visible, the difference between questionnaire and schedule?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No,
No.
sir.
Okay, so what is visible?
Health related. Health facilities related.
Achha, this slide,
Health facilities name of the page.
the slide is, achha, this, I think I should stop.
So the PDF is visible.
Okay, then now just look at it. I think I should got this.
Slide number 15 is visible, sir.
Just a minute, just give me 1 second. Huh. Just look at it. Is it visible?
No, sir.
Questionnaire design?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Sir, I think you need to reshare.
Okay, then maybe I have to.
Yes,
stop
sir. We
it.
are
Sir,
not
it's
able to.
coming, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Now visible.
Questionnaire design.
Okay, good.
Questionnaire design is visible, sir.
Okay. So now I think you just look at it. If you go for, so remember one thing. First of all, you have to ask yourself that what do you mean by questionnaire and schedule? Believe me, most of us we do not know. There is a confusion between questionnaire and schedule. So if you go for, remember one thing. So if you go for, just look at it. If you go for, is visible?
Yes, sir. What is the question?
Yes,
From your side.
Okay, good.
So please increase the volume from your side.
So now, if you go for, just look at it, look at this, you will find, so what questionnaire?
So we are not able to see.
The screen is black, sir.
No, it's green.
Just a minute.
It's going.
There is some.
Yeah, screen is green. No, it went.
Just a minute. Is it visible?
No, sir.
Not
No,
yet,
sir. Sir, actually, internet problem है तो.
Okay, so you just look, maybe I'm speaking, so I'm doing it, you let me know. So if you go for questionnaire and schedule, remember one thing, so you will find both questionnaire and set of questions. If you go for schedule, so first of all, you should try to understand what is, if you go for, so you will find, so questionnaire and schedule, if you go for set of questions, okay, so both are, like I say, if you go for, your name, your mother name, your village, all the set of questions. And if you go for same thing, if you go for your questionnaire and schedule, there is some difference, you know better. So the basic difference, remember one thing, many times you need to be very practical. So if you go for your, so questions is also your if you go for schedules also set of questions, your questionnaire is also set of questions. So both are same. I have already said. So if you go for, remember one thing, so you will find that if, so you are sending the question to the respondent through mail, through courier, okay, and you are, if you go for and sending and you collecting the respondent himself or herself answer the questions and return back to the researcher, that we call as a questionnaire. If you go for, so that we call as a questionnaire. If you go for, remember one thing, same thing, you go to the field, you ask this question to the respondent and respondent answer, and you as a researcher, you write that we call as a schedule. Okay, so this is it. Please don't be confused. Always you have to keep in mind that there is a difference between questionnaire and schedule. Okay, so this is the basic difference between the two.
Sorry, sir. Please repeat it. Your voice was stuck in between.
Okay, I have internet
Internet
problem maybe.
connection.
No, sir, it's clear. It's clear, sir.
Now it's
uh,
clear,
I,
but
I am doing one thing.
please repeat once again
I
difference
cannot share
between
your screen.
questionnaire and schedule.
Okay, just look at it. I am sharing once again. Is it visible or not visible? You let me know. Yes. What happened? I am doing this one screen. Yes. I hope it is visible.
No, sir.
No, sir, it is not visible yet.
Coming, or just look at it. I hope it will come.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir,
Yes,
it's
sir.
coming.
Yes, sir. It
Oh, good.
Easily visible.
Okay. So now, if you go for, so what is written there? Questionnaire. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. What is
Okay.
questionnaire?
Just look at it. I say, I hope everyone you know this. If you go for, when you say questionnaire or you say schedule, so you just look at it. Always we should formulate questionnaire or schedule with respective to our objective of our research, with respective to our research questions, with respective to our disease. Remember one thing that you have to keep in mind when you are formulating a questionnaire. So you just look at the slide here, whatever written, you just read it. Okay, so I whatever this understanding I have for. So basically, so we collect of a questionnaire, help of schedule. So we collect the information from the respondent to describe the situations, to compare the situation, to explain the situations, okay, or to understand the knowledge, attitude, the behavior, or the socio-economic characteristics of the group. Okay, so I am working on tribes. I have already shared this to go for this schedule. So our motive is that with respective to our research, your question be formulated. You have to keep in mind. Okay, you just look at it. So basically, with the help of or with the help of schedule, you will collect the information for your research objective. That you have to keep in mind. So questionnaire is an instrument, so through which you will collect the facts or the information, the knowledge for your research work. Okay, so now the question schedule and also the difference between the questionnaire and schedule. Please don't be confused, because many students and many teachers also confused. So there is, so if you go for, because last time when I was attending a PhD Viva, the student is again and again telling the questionnaire, but whereas she is conducted the face-to-face interview. That means you use the schedule method. Okay, so you have to very clear. So I say, so questionnaire is basically, remember one thing, you send this set of questions to the respondent, and respondent himself, herself answer that question and return back to the researcher. That we call as a questionnaire. And if the researcher go to the field, ask the question to the respondent, and the respondent answer, okay, so that is called as, okay, so this is something that is very clear on that. Now, okay, so now how you will design a questionnaire. Okay, so always remember one thing. So you have to very, very clear in the dimensions you are. So there is a, when you develop your questionnaire or you want to go to the field, you want to develop questions, remember first point, you have to ask yourself, just write down, what is my objective? Okay, suppose I am working on the, I am giving one example. Suppose I am working on tribal. I am working on the slum dwellers in Delhi. Okay, suppose my objective is to find out what is the infrastructure available in this slum area in Delhi. Okay, so when you say there is a first point that you have to identify what are the parameters, what are the indicators, what are the variables with respect to your objective. Okay, so first you have to very clear. My objective is the infrastructure. When you say infrastructure, infrastructure is a broader concept. Infrastructure means you have whether road is there, whether health facility is there, whether educational facility is there. So you have to very, very specific. Remember one thing with your objective. So first point, before you develop your questions for your research work, first you write down all the research questions for your research work. Then you develop all the indicators. Okay, suppose I always say to students that the first point that you have to keep in mind, suppose I say you should know what is indicator, what is variable, what is also working there. Okay, so you have to, time is very limited. So just say that I say reach concept or is a concept. In order to suppose my objective to measure this. Also, when you say reach, so what are the indicators? Indicator may be your income, indicator may be your asset holding, indicator may be land, indicator may be building holding. So you as a researcher, whenever start to fit.
Sorry to interrupt, Mino. Please ensure that slides move according to your explanation.
Okay.
You are in the slide. What is a questionnaire?
Oh, slide is not changing.
The slide is not visible.
Not visible.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Your presentation has stopped now, sir. Please present again.
Reshare your screen actually.
Someone has presented, that's what your presentation was stopped.
Okay, just a minute.
Sir,
Just a minute.
someone-
Just look at it, I hope. Yeah. Now it is visible. Just look at it, please.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
Not yet, sir.
No, sir.
Turn to push up. Control your mic and push who I am not able to.
Yes, sir. We are able to see.
Yes, sir.
Coming,
Now
eh?
visible.
Yes, sir. Net
Yes.
clean.
Now visible, sir.
Yeah, net issue. Yeah, I understand here in JNU. So I am facing lots of problem. Maybe, yeah. So is it visible? Just look at it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Slide number 4.
Yes, sir.
Slide number 4. Just look at. I'm not able to see anyone. What is written there? Just tell me.
What
What
is
is
the
What is
questionnaire
questionnaire
design?
design?
Okay, good. So now you just look at it. So if you go for now, you just look at it. Now what is changing? Changing?
nominal
Choices
ordinal
and measures of disparities.
Okay, good. Just look at it. When it will not visible, please just ask me. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm not able to. Yeah. So now do one thing. So if you go for your first point, remember one thing. When you are developing a questionnaire, everyone, those who are presenting here, so please, first you write down your objective. First write down your research question. First write down your hypothesis. Okay, so in a blank paper. Okay, then you start. This is my first objective. My first objective is to find out income of the tribal household in Kanda tribe. Suppose my objective. So what is objective? Now this is my objective. So what is objective? Main dimension? Your income. Okay, so you just take on income. Okay, so if you go for your income, so you now write down income is a major variable or income is a major indicator. So now you just make things income. So where you are getting income? So you are getting income from maybe, so you just, what are the different source of income the tribal household is getting? You sit together and just ask yourself, income from agriculture, income from livestock, income from wage labor, income from small business, income from government job, income from shop, income from handicraft, that we have already shared this the schedule that you know. Okay, so then you just break up. Okay, so when you say income from wage labor, now you want to find out income from wage labor. So remember one thing, so you have to very clear on this, that okay, so you ask, so what you will do, ask, now suppose you want to find out, आप पहले गया पूछा कि भाई, so how many days you are working? So maybe in 1 month, so maybe the labor is not getting 1 month labor work. So maybe he is getting maybe 15 days. He will say 15 days. Okay. So how many? So he says, or she says that 15 days. So you just tell this local wage rate. Okay. So you just multiply and you just think on this monthly. You calculate on this. Okay. So this is my only concern, is that whenever you develop a questionnaire or schedule, the first point you have to keep in mind that it is on the basis of your research objective that you want to find. That you very clearly, most of the students, please believe me, my own experience, whatever I am sharing with you, that they are not clear. They are research questions, they are indicators, they are variables. So if you are not clear on that, you will not be able to develop questionnaire. So my first request to everyone, that's first of all, write down this indicator, parameter, variables in a clear format. Then from each indicator, you develop the questions. This is the first you have to clear. Okay, now, if you go for, I hope, remember always, so I have already shared this, the first in the household schedule. Your data should be nominal, should be categorical. Remember one thing, I say nominal data or categorical data, that is coding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basically nominal data, when you say nominal data, when you say categorical data, remember one thing. So where you just assign a number to identify that variable. Suppose I say caste. Caste is a categorical variable. Religion is a categorical variable. Your gender is a categorical variable. When you enter into SPSS or Strata or any software, so you should not only write male, female, that will not provide anything. So you have to basically the system of coding. So if your data is nominal, so you will male for 1, 2 for female, 3 for transgender. If you go for caste, similarly Hindu, so sorry, you got SC for 1, OBC for 2, general for 3, others for 4, whatever. You have to, whenever you develop a questionnaire, so from the first, you have to, that technically term that we call the response, that we call as a coding. Okay, so you have to broadly remember one thing, your nature of data, you will find in 3 forms, either in nominal, either in ordinal, or in numerical. Remember one thing, if you go for any software that I am working on, SPSS statistical package for social science, if you go for 9th column, you will find data is nominal, data is ordinal, and every data you will find that we call as a scale data. Okay, so your income, your expenditure, your saving, your whatever this absolute number, all are the scale data. Okay, so that is the response, the coding that you have to finish before for your developing this questionnaire or schedule. I have already shared in the first whenever we go for this. Now, you just look at the slide is changing.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just stop
Yes,
because
sir.
I'm not able to see anyone. So this is, remember, it is very, very easy. We remember one thing, if you go for, when you are developing a questionnaire, okay, so you as a researcher, you just read the point that I have mentioned. Okay, so I have already tell these decisions. that what type of information that you want to study with respective to your research study. My research study is to collect the income and expenditure of tribal household. So I will give more emphasis. I will develop more questions on this income and expenditure. Okay, so what type of, if you go for, so whether it is a qualitative information or quantitative information, so you just look at this broadly. Okay, so when you are developing a questionnaire, so first point, your what should be the content, what should be the wording, what should be the order, what should be the layout. Okay, so this I hope every one of you know after this COVID-19, everyone is using this questionnaire. Every day, someone in getting this information, please, I am doing PhD, please fill this questionnaire. Okay, so everyone knows these things. I hope those who are present here. So the 4 points that you have to very, very clear on this wording content. Okay, so now if you go for, you will explain each term clearly. Yeah? So you just look at it. So if you go for your content now, okay, so so fast. So this slide is changing.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You just look at it, yeah, because time is very limited. So I have to whatever question you just write down. I will ask any questions in the discussion time. I will give maximum time for discussion. Okay, please write down your questions. Okay, so if you go for, remember one thing. First, you have to very, very clear. Remember one thing. This your target respondent. Why this is very important? Suppose if you know your target respondent, okay, all the points you think, just write down. If you know, I hope you know every point on this. But target respondent means, suppose I am working on tribes. You are working on a marketing student. Okay, so you have to very clear. So at least who is your respondent, whether she or he is illiterate or literate, their background, all information that you have to very clear, whether he or she, I'm talking about he in the field, that the respondent is able to answer the questions that you want to ask him or her. Okay, with respect to your objective. If the respondent do not know, so if you are asking or sending the questions, it is useless. Okay, so that means, so that dimensions you have to very, very clear. And another dimensions, which is very, very important, that is pre-testing. I will explain detail. Huh? Pre-testing of questionnaire and schedule is very, very relevant for you as a researcher. If you are, remember one thing, if your questionnaire is wrong, your whole analysis will be wrong. How? Because the information that you will get from this questionnaire, okay, so that will analyze, you will analyze now. So in that sense, so you have to very clear the dimension of pre-testing. Most of the students, my own experience is that, so they do not discuss their questions with their friends first, with their teachers in the center, third, remember one thing, nowadays, many people because of this social media and the internet, you know the area on which you are working, many reputed knowledgeable persons are available in this different university, and their email ID, mobile number, everything is there. Before you develop a questionnaire, you just write to this teacher. Okay, maybe you just request, sir, I am working on that. You just suggest some modification, some addition, some delete, whatever, with respect to clearly, this is my objective, and with this objective, I have developed this questions. Please. So first point, you share with your friends. Now, what is in the present context? Most of the researchers, what they are doing, they are not discussing their questions with their friends. Okay, they are teachers, they are RSC members. They immediately going to the field for pilot testing or for collecting information. I always say, please don't do that. you have to very clear and discuss all these things. Now, so if you go for, just look at it. Okay, so I have already explained. So what should be asked? Okay, so basically the content. So what should be, basically I have already from the first slide I say, whatever your research objective, what is your research question, what is your hypothesis, all these 3 points, and you have to ask yourself what should be asked. Okay, so please, I hope you can easily understand. Because of the time shortage, I am not going to read line by line. You try to understand. You have to very clear what type of information is required to address my research questions, hypothesis, and objective. That if you know this, then you know these parameter and variables, you will not face any problem in your developing the questionnaire. And also remember one thing, in terms of your analysis of your information from the respondent, also you will not face a problem. Okay, so this is the first thing that you have to tell. Okay, target respondent, I have already explained these things. This is very important. When you develop this question, I say set of questions. Okay, so how you are doing this, whether you are doing face-to-face using these questions, or whether you are doing focus group discussions, or whether you are sending through mail, field post, courier, or through you are doing telephonic interview. Okay, so basically, what are the methods that you use to collect your information to your target respondent? That you have to very clear. If you clear on that, remember one thing I always say, if you are using questionnaire method, sending to the respondent and respondent will answer, one thing at least I should say here, if your sample size is 20, at least send to the respondent 100 respondents, because your response rate is very poor if you are using the questionnaire. Okay, so if your sample size that you need to collect for your research work, 20 respondents, so you have to send at least 100, I always suggest. If you get before that, that is fine. But you have to remember one thing, your response rate is very poor in case of your questionnaire. Because many doubt, you just look at me, so many days, each day I'm getting a mail that please sir, I'm doing this research, please give your 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour time to fill this questionnaire. I don't have time, so I am not able to send that. Okay, so in that context, if you want to do, so you have to very clear on this dimension. Okay, this is very important when you go for your, now you get an idea or your first part is over. That okay, you have an idea of your all this course information, that what type of questions that I want to ask from the respondent, what type of information I want to collect. Now, this is very important that you have to very clear what should be the question, whether it is, I hope everyone knows that if you go for, whether is it visible? Is it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If you go for, remember one thing, so your, whether my question should be open-end question, whether it is my closed-end question. Remember one thing, I hope you just look at the slide, I will explain each term, please. So what is this point that you have to keep in mind? If you are doing a quantitative survey, I hope everyone knows open-end question and closed-end question meaning. I'm explaining, I'm coming to that. If you go for open-end questions, that the meaning is that, so like you say, why you join this national workshop? Yeah. Any questions? Anyone, please?
No, sir.
Okay, please. Okay, so I'm not able to see anyone, please. So you have to keep in mind. Okay, so open-end means, so the respondent has the freedom, okay, in what way he or she want to answer these questions. Please unmute yourself, those who are speaking, please, because there is a voice is coming. Please, please mute yourself. So if you go for, so when you say open-end question means respondent has freedom to answer what the way he wants to answer. Like I say, why you join this training program. So now you have 1,000 explanations for that. Maybe I want to develop myself. I want to develop my PhD. So every information that the respondent has freedom to answer the way he likes. Similarly, when you say close end, that means your respondent is now. The respondent is restricted to answer this question. Okay, so if you, who is making noise, please?
There is some Geeta Kumari who is unmuted. Geeta.
Tell her to stop, please. Geeta
Shivam
Kumari. Please, Geeta
Divedi.
Kumari.
Shivam Divedi also has unmuted.
Please, please mute yourself. Request to everyone. Okay, so if you go for, so remember one thing, so you find that you don't have, if you go for,
Jay, please mute.
Please, who is Shivam? Please mute yourself, please. Okay, so if you go for, so when you say close, means the respondent don't have the freedom to answer the way he or she likes. Suppose I say, like, so you have, suppose I say, you have only yes, no, like, dislike, you have only options. You have to, out of these options, you have to click on that. Okay, so you just look at it. So this is the meaning of open end and close end. My concern is that if you are doing a quantitative survey, like I am student of economics, I am student of management, I am doing a quantitative survey. In that context, I always tell the students that you need to be, you have the freedom of using the close-end questions. But in case of those who are like sociology, anthropology, political science, history students, so they need to develop in terms of they should use basically in terms of qualitative research, not quantitative. Broadly, we use the case of that we call as open-end questions. So many issues are there, many challenges are there. Okay, so in order to analyze these open-end questions, there is a software that I hope every one of you know. Maybe if you do not know, so there is a different software for your quantitative data analysis. You talk about SPSS, you talk about Stata, you talk about R, you talk about eViews. Okay, there are different software for quantitative data analysis. Exactly same for your qualitative, that I, so far my understanding is that there is a base software that we call as a atlas.ti. Atlas.ti. Okay, you just explore yourself. Huh? So there is no need of explaining. Now, we will go to the close end. If you go for close end, you just look at it. So there is the option of simple dichotomy. That means only two options. You just look at it. I hope I will explain each term. Okay. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So basically, when you say with this, that means the respondent has no choice. Only to the answer, that is only two options. That when you say die means two. Okay, only two options are there. Like you just look at it, either yes, no, like, dislike, agree, disagree, true, false. That means only two options are there. Out of the two options, the respondent has to choose only one option. So that we call as a dichotomy. Okay, most of these research, we use this case, yes, no, like this informations are there. Okay, so this is the first part of your that we call as a close end. Now, if you go for, you just look at it, multiple choice. If you go for, okay, multiple choice means more than 2. Okay, so you just look at it, that if you go for multiple choice, you just look at it, is it, if you go means you have more than 2 options. Like you just look at it, how many times you have watched these, particularly with this, if you go for how frequently do you watch MTV? Okay, so you look at any every day, okay, 5-6 times a week, 2 to 4 times. That means you have more than 2 options. Okay, so that means, so you have to, when you say multiple, you have more than 2 options. Out of the option, the respondent has to choose the option. So this is one thing. Only remember, when you give multiple options, out of multiple options, researcher has to, or respondent has to choose only one option. Because of that, that we call as a multiple option. If you go for checklist, okay, another question that we call as a checklist. If you go for checklist, that means suppose what type of activity that you have done in the last week. Okay, so you have walking, you have watching movie, you have watching cricket match, you have cycling, you have swimming. What are the activities? So you provide activity. Out of that activity, or if you go for, particularly respondent, to choose one option, more than 2 options, more than 3 options, more than 5 options. Okay, so this means that we call it a checklist. Everyone knows these things. I hope those who are presenting in this course. So this is the third option for your, that we call as a close. So that you cannot choose beyond this option that is given. So you have to check the list. Then another dimensions, okay, you know, so there is no discussion on open and close end questions. So you just look at it. So I am not going for this. This is another dimensions. Most of the psychology, educational research, there is a concept of perception and the stakeholder. Okay, so I hope everyone knows, if you go for that, if you go for scale, okay, 8-point Likert scale, you, so you strongly agree, neither agree or disagree, strongly disagree. Okay, so you have to basically, most of the psychology researcher now in every field that we call as the Likert scale questions is used. And also there is an option that we call a 7-point scale. Okay, but I my so far understanding, I am not expert in that area, but I find that if you go for Likert scale, 5-point Likert scale and your 7-point Likert scale, so 5-point Likert scale is very, very useful in the social science research, and this will be very easy in the sense will provide a good understanding and for your result analysis.
Yes, sir.
PowerPoint is not more.
So your screen isn't visible, sir. I'll be grateful if you can share your screen, sir.
क्या हो रहा है पता नहीं.
Yes, sir. Somebody has presented the presentation. That's what your presentation went up.
Why students are creating this problem?
Yeah, you have to do presentation again, sir.
Please, at least.
Yeah.
Okay, is it visible now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
It will come. I just.
No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir, not yet.
So it was visible till Likert scale and it got vanished after that.
Yeah. I just look at it either it is coming or not. There is some problem. People are. Here I have many internet problem. Oh. Not coming now.
One
No,
query,
sir.
please. One question, query, sir.
Okay, just up and then I say again. Is it coming? I hope so.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Just look at it. No.
No, sir.
Okay. But there is some problem from my side. Yeah.
From the side रे internet problem थी वो.
Internet तो problem नहीं, internet एवरे भी problem नहीं. Why it is happening? I don't know. Just to see, there is some technical issue.
Yes, sir. Asila.
Huh?
It
Now
is coming.
it's visible. Visible, but I am not able. Huh? Just look. Now there is
Yes, sir,
no.
visible.
Okay. Is it changing? Just look at it. What is there?
Closed-ended scale
Yes, sir.
per month.
Okay. So now. Okay, good. Just look at it. Now it is changing.
No, sir. Slide number 18.
Is it not changing now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Same slide.
Okay. Who is? I'll do one thing.
Click on slide view.
Sir,
Can you click on slide view? Then maybe it's will start pop.
Just a minute. Why it is again and again is creating this problem?
sir, screen has stopped.
Again I am coming. Just look at it. I will go for enter screen or window. I think enter screen.
Sir, enter screen.
You just look at it. But from my side,
Yes, sir. If you can share the screen, I think this problem will not occur again.
I am sharing the enter screen.
Yes, yes.
But still it's not coming.
You are sharing another application window. Stop sharing. What is that? I'm not able.
Sir, it's visible now.
It's visible now. 20, slide number 20.
What?
Bipolar closed-ended questions.
Just now it's changing. I don't. It will change. Just look at it. Is it changing?
Yes, sir. 20.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
21. Matrix.
Good. Okay, so you know maybe sorry, so maybe this time next time we'll do it. So you just look at it. If you go for bipolar, okay, so means two options are there. Yeah, most of these, if you go for this, if you go for your bipolar or multiple options are there. So then in terms of marketing research broadly, okay, so means you are two, like in 10-point scale. Okay, so your lowest is given, your highest is given. Efficient and inefficient. Okay, with the range. You
Hello, sir, please.
Huh?
Sir, please continue from slide number 18.
Slide number 18. Okay. This one. Liquor scale.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, from here.
I have already, okay. Here again, I'm repeating. So if you go for, remember one thing. So I say, so most.
Sir,
just a moment, please wait for a
Nirmala Gangod's
Guys,
screen
relax.
only is seen, sir.
May I know what is the issue with the participants over here? You all are sharing your screen again and again. I think you all are eligible enough to know what what scenario we are going on. Miss Nirmala, please stop sharing your Instagram to us. We are not in mood of going on with it.
They are not listening.
Stop presenting your screen.
Please.
Sir, kindly share your screen now.
Already said it's visible. Your screen is still visible to others.
I can see closed-ended scale format the screen. I think it is all right.
Someone is showing this slide now. You just look at it. Now it is visible.
Please change the set. No, sir. Don't allow.
Sir, if you don't mind, so could you please change the setting from your end? Only the admins can host all the entire scenarios. None of the participants, please do not allow them.
Okay, who is? But how can I have no idea. So
No, sir, not to you. Like admin, just a minute. Wait, I'll first.
Administration can change it.
The host can change it. So please, the host, please take care of it.
Yes. Sir, you please share your screen. You continue, sir. Time is running. Please
Okay,
continue,
good.
sir.
Okay. So please bear with me. I'm sorry for that because people are maybe next time will. Okay, so if you go for Likert scale, remember one thing: most of the in the present context, most of the in social science, broadly we use now everywhere. If you go for there is a concept of perception analysis of the stakeholder. Okay, so in that context, you talk about this 5-point scale and Likert scale and 7-point Likert scale. Okay, so most of the cases, so I say you just look at it, strongly agree, neither agree, disagree, strongly disagree. And
You have not shared the screen.
but I have shared from this. I don't know.
No, sir, we are not able to see.
Sir, reshare
So the
again.
screen
Sir,
is
reshare again,
visible.
please. Because due to that glitch, your
And
presentation went
I
out.
now I don't have any options. Resume your presentation. Just look at it. Stop screening. Resume your presenting. Chalo,
Resume your presentation.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
just look
sir.
at
Yes,
it.
sir.
It is coming.
It's on. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir, it is.
How is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay, sorry. I know. So if you go for Likert, if you go for your Likert scale, so broadly remember one thing. So you will find that either 5-point scale or your 7-point scale that you have to use. So I say broadly in social science, now 5-point scale is mostly used in this case. Okay, so that you have to very clear, and this because in case of your analysis, you will get a very easy response in terms of your when you collect the response. In case of your Likert scale, it is very useful. So you can do, there is no hard and fast rule in case of your 7-point scale. So I always say that I don't have that much experience or expert in that area, many people. So broadly, we say in literature that 5-point scale is there. Another option, if you go for, that we call as, like just look at it, same thing. I have already, so multiple questions, with respective, you just look at it. Okay, so you want to take the view. This slide is changed. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
19th number.
Yeah. So if you look at it, same we have given multiple questions are given in column. Response is given the right. Okay, with respect to your, you just look at it. Smoking is dangerous to health. So there you strongly agree, undecided, disagree, strongly disagree. Okay, so multiple options with respect to your objective, and you are responding, you are providing response to that. Okay, so that is the case. There's another option that we call as the same thing. If you go for bipolar. Okay, so if you go for, so your lowest and highest is given, and you have the freedom, you have the researcher has the freedom that we call as a bipolar. Only two end, lower end, upper end is given. Okay, that we call as two extreme are given. So you just look at it, efficient and inefficient, and within that you have to provide your range. Maybe broadly we gave in 10. You can give also 5. That is your choice on the basis of your analysis, on the basis of your objective. Okay, so fast, slow, reliable, unreliable. Okay, so these are the that we call as a bipolar. Okay, so people are using most of the cases if you go for broadly in case of your marketing research. Okay, so people are using this case of bipolar. Same is you talk about only product, multiple options. Okay, with this the option is given, you just look at it. And this is that we already explained. Okay, so that we call as a set of questions. With the set of questions, the technical that last we just explained. Okay, so matrix. When you say matrix, so set of questions are there with respect to one dimension, one objective, and say there with their multiple questions are there. You just look at it, how satisfied or dissatisfied are you with each of the following. Suppose you want to do a you are doing a car servicing in your particular area. Okay, so you want to, different dimensions are there. How their approach, how their service, how satisfied. So all the different questions are there. Okay, so with their respective, you are very satisfied, some are neither satisfied, some are satisfied, very dissatisfied. Okay, on a particular dimension. So that is called as a matrix if you go for matrix questions. Okay, so you just write down, try to understand. So I will explain whenever we'll go for the discussion. Then you already explained, no need of these things. Most of the cases, particular brand for this product. So how you are satisfied on the quality, price, whatever different dimension you want to explore, that we call as a matrix question. Okay, this is important, that we call as a contingency questions. Remember one thing, when you say, many people do not know the contingency questions. That means if you go for, suppose, if you go for means connected questions. If you go for contingency questions, connected questions. Okay, suppose I say, so do you smoke? If you say no, then your question stop there. If you say yes, then you have to proceed further. Okay, so how many times you say? 1 time, 2 times, number of cigarette you are smoking, or number of wine you are taking. So okay, so when you say, so that means follow-up questions. Okay, most of the, suppose if you go for, are you married? Okay, so if you say, okay, so then you will ask for the you question of how many children, how many boys, whether you are sending your kids to school, so different dimensions. So that we call as a contingency question, means the respondent will proceed. If you fulfill that objective, then you will proceed for that. Okay, so next question, that we call as a meaning of the contingency questions. Okay, so this is something now we have already explained. Okay, so these are the different format of your, if you go for, so you find, so this is the case of your, we have explained. So your close-end question is the multiple choice questions. With this is, I hope nothing is there. So that questions that you formulate. Okay, in social science, generally we follow, I have already explained, you have to give emphasis with your objective. If you have to keep in mind the quantitative, you have this on this and your qualitative and opponent. I hope all these points. Then if you have doubt, you ask me, I will explain detail to proceed. Now, if you go for this is closed as a end. There are most of the cases, social science, use sociology, anthropologists. So we use, suppose I'm working on tribes, I'm working on culture, I'm working on ethnographic studies. Okay, so in that context, so most of the study that we have to emphasize on this open-end question. That means you opponent, okay, free to answer what way he or she likes. Okay, so that we call as the open-end questionnaire. So where it is used, I have already explained. Now, different types of open-end questionnaire. Remember one thing, in literature, in humanities. So okay, so there is a, so one is completely on structure. You go to the field, you just think on this dimension, this is my objective. On that objective, when you enter, you formulate questions. There is no order, there is no structure. Whatever way you want to ask, you, okay, so that is structure that you know most of this on structure methods. Okay, so if you go for thematic, okay, so that means if you go for one, so most of the cases, so you will find if you go for thematic, like just look at it. I hope I am not expert in that area. If you go for, just look at it. So looking at this, some photos, okay, some theme is given. Okay, so looking at the situation, psychology people also, the angry, the aggressiveness, the frustration. Okay, so this type of study, if you are using, So some theme is there, some pictures are there. Okay, so this you just look at it where it is used. Okay, so on that, so you also literature people also use. If you go for content analysis, also people are used. Okay, so these are the different situations where so some themes are given from some theme from that. Okay, you are drawing some inference, drawing some analysis. So from that, okay, so you have to basically maybe in psychology somewhere, in literature, in English literature or any somewhere. I am not expert in that area, so I have never used this thing. Okay, so if you go for this is the understanding of your thematic on this dimension. And also if you go for word associate, now I hope I know everyone from class 5, class 6. Okay, so some sentences are given, some words are given. So using that, so you have to take some idea and you have to write a paragraph, some understanding. Okay, so on this, using this technical that we call as the word associative questions. Okay, so linking that, so you have to this. So if you go for those who are maybe I hope they are better than they know better than me. Okay, so these are the different words. Similarly, if you go for so these are the things that you have now. So what is the summary of this? That your questions, you as a researcher, you have to decide whether you will be able to open-end questions or close-end questions. Okay, now I say most of the, it is difficult to analyze the open-end questions. Okay, so if you are questions, remember one thing, it is very easy to write the questions. Now 100 questions, 30 questions, 40 questions. But when you go for your analysis, that creates a difficult job. So you as a researcher, you keep in mind what that is. Now, remember thing. So I always now in present context, so you there is no first rule. I am a student of economics. I will not use open-end questionnaire. Remember one thing. Now there is a method that we call as a triangulation method, where you are using both qualitative and quantitative. It is in the present context is very useful social science research. So I always say, researcher, you have both open-end and your closed-end. That is you. That is not you have to keep in mind. Now, your question is third part is over. Now, this is the wording part. If you go for your wording, okay, if you go for your wording, remember one thing, the slide is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you just look at it. If you go for your wording, remember one thing, so you will find that always you have to, researcher, you have to keep in mind, try your level questions you are or you are developing that will address your objective. First point. Second point, that will ask the student is able to understand the language, the question that you are asking. Okay, so that means technically, if you go for this simple language, okay, so you have to at least the respondent. Okay, so that you have to, I hope every point that is mentioned, so you can just look at this slide I have written. So always you have to use this simple language. Please read this slide, this what is visible. And always try to avoid. Okay, so those who are present here, please, there is a concept and most of the research methodology books, so there is the absent in terms of writing the leading and loaded questions. Many people do not know the meaning of this. Okay, and also most of the books do not explain this concept of leading and loaded questions. So please, so I try to explain, you as a researcher or you as a teacher, you have to explain, you should know the meaning of this. So you just read this line. when you say leading, that means leading questions are those questions where the researcher wants the answer the respondent will provide the way he or she wants. Okay, look at it. Leading means the question itself, the answer is, okay, you just try to understand. Okay, you just look at this. Okay, so read this example that is given. So meaning of leading questions means the researcher to answer the questions that the way he or she, okay, so basically the questions which prompt the respondent to answer in a particular way. Okay, suppose if you go for read, suppose if you will eat that what is you have a good relationship with your supervisor. Okay, then the question itself, you say the receptor that okay, so you have a good relationship. In the question itself, so immediately response was yes, I have good relation with my supervisor. So you should not formulate the questions like this. You should ask the questions, what is the relationship with your supervisor? So you should not provide, you just look at it, the accident time. Okay, so the question was the judge is asking the respondent, so what done wearing a white shirt? Means in the answer, you are clearly indicating the respondent, okay, to answer that, okay, see, or he wears this white shirt. Okay, so you as a researcher, you have to formulate these leading questions in a such a manner that like what was John wearing at the time of accident? So then maybe the respondent will answer in a such a manner. So this is the meaning of leading questions. Please, if you are not able to understand, please read many literature on this dimension. I hope you understand the meaning of leading questions. And the loaded questions. If you go for the loaded questions, just look at it. You just look at, this is a very, very interesting in the sense that when you say leading loaded questions, remember one thing, that means you just look at, read the slide. If you go for these loaded questions, so you find that both way, if the respondent say yes, that is also problem. If the respondent say no, that is also problem. In that means both the options that if you go for in case of loading questions, suppose the question is that, have you stopped beating your wife? So in this sense, suppose if the respondent answer yes, okay, so that means previously, so you are beating your wife. That if you say no, that means now present you are also beating your wife. Suppose another example, now if I say, have you stopped cheating in the class? Okay, so if you say yes, that means previously you are cheating in your exam. Okay, so if you say no, that means you are also cheating now. So in this case, so when you say loading questions, so always, so you as a researcher, you should avoid the question of loaded. That means both the options is not suitable to the respondent. So this is the meaning of your loaded questions, leading questions. You just look at it, have to just please read. This is the word technically that we call as a. So often, occasionally, regularly, frequently, many, good, poor. Okay, so these are the, if you go for, try to, so the meaning is different. Suppose I say regularly. So if I say 2 times is sufficient for me. I frequently, suppose I say visit 2 movies. Okay, so this is 2 times for me, but for other it may be 5, 10. So always when you are developing your questionnaire, so please don't use this word in your, because the respondent will be confused. Okay, so in that context, so please avoid these words when you are developing this ambiguity, where there is a confusion, where is a meaning, different meaning for the different respondents. So in that context, you have to very clear on this when you are developing your questionnaire. Now, if you go for, so this is that we call as a, please try to So double-barreled questions. So that means you are asking two questions at a time. That means two questions you are asking. You are, suppose you just look at it. Okay, the question is given. That means you always you have to ask one question at one time. Don't combine together or two or more issues simultaneously. Okay, so most of the cases you just one question at a one time. You just look at it. Why? Because remember one thing. Suppose here the question is given. Does your company have pension and health insurance benefits? Suppose if I ask the respondent, if the respondent provide yes option, okay, that means so he is getting the pension and also he is getting health insurance. But maybe the respondent want only getting pension but not getting the health insurance. So in that context, you should not combine the two questions simultaneously. You should ask, does your company providing pension? Does your company providing health insurance? Like this, the question is given. So always try to formulate questions one at a time, not double question or triple question at a time. That we call as a double barrel questions. Okay. As I say, other questions, always avoid the burdensome questions. Like if you go for, like maybe I will explain whenever we'll give discussion for this. If you go for, like just one, if you point in the case of, you will find that most of the cases, so memory based. Generally, remember one thing, in social science, there is a concept of recall method. Recall. If you go for recall method, suppose if you go for, generally we do not, maybe we have capacity to memorize, maybe last week, so what we have done, what type of activity we have done, or what amount spent on different activity, or one in terms of consumption. So anything. So that means, so always, so which is maybe, suppose if you ask, so what is your expenditure in last 2 years, or how many times you have taken chicken in last 1 year. Okay, so this is really very memory. So memory based. So you try to avoid not to give the border response is not a question. Like all is given, I hope everyone, and nothing is there. And also another is a high question. If you go for, now I will say, so suppose you are the private country, what you will do? Benefit of the education. So tribal. So in that hypothetical question, that also you need to researcher, because that much understand to answer this hypothetical situation. Okay, just like all the examples given in case of, this is the that you taken care of whenever you are a question or schedule. Both are difference are there. I then okay, so taken care of it. Now after this, the language, the if you go for it, taken care of this order. Okay, now remember one thing. If you go for order, so always remember one thing. You have to keep in mind. You just, I hope the slide is changing.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So if you go, so you have to keep in mind that always you have to keep that you have to provide your easy questions. You have to provide general to particular. Okay. So always you as when you are formulating questions, you don't suppose I am doing a research on your monthly income, monthly expenditure, or monthly land holding, everything. So if you go to the field and you ask the respondent, you never ask that, tell me what is your occupation, what tell me your monthly income, tell me your expenditure. You as a researcher, you have to ask, you have to develop a rapport with the respondent. Okay, you provide general questions. So your name, your village name, your education, your age, your qualification, common general information try to be there in the first part. Then you proceed to your particular with respect to your research objective. Please don't, and also the difficult questions, the personal questions, you have to keep in middle or in that main body of your discussion, not in the first part. So this is the order that is given in this format. You just look at it. So always you have to keep in mind. So remember one thing, if you go for, so this is the point that you have to, okay, so the questions, the order that you have to follow when you are developing a questionnaire. Then, which is very, very essential. So I hope everyone knows, no need of explanation, that always when you are developing a questionnaire or schedule, you just write down in the first one paragraph about who are you, why you are doing the research, introduce yourself, and also write in that this line that this is only used for my academic research work. And also, so the ethics, now there is a ethics committee, every university. Okay, so that means the identity of the respondent or every information that you should not provide in your research or that means the identity of the respondent, that you have to take care of this. You will not share any information about the respondent anywhere. Okay, so that, and why you are doing the research, so you have to keep in mind in that context. Okay, so these are the clear on this. After this, remember one thing, I always say that when you are developing this questionnaire, now you develop whatever knowledge that you are with respect to yours. Now you start here. Before, remember one thing, which is very, very essential. Many people do not know the meaning of pre-testing, pilot testing. Go for, remember one, it's very, very, read this slide. Remember one thing, before I go for your pre, remember one thing, first step number, you write your object and share to your friend. Okay, this is my object. So I have added with respect, please some suggestions, modification. You discuss with your friends or all the research scholar in the center or the department. First point. Second point, remember one thing, many people are there. Okay, many maybe not in your department, not in your center, maybe outside the center in your university. Okay, you talk to them. If that is also, you get some idea. Then third point, you just explore those who are expert in that area, those who are working on tribal, those who are working on poverty, those who are working on unemployment, those who are working on gender. So you just, in your side, you will find their information, mail ID, you just write down. Okay, so this is Sarah ma'am. So if you write, maybe you will get the response for that. Okay, so do that. After that, so you discuss with your supervisor. Okay, so this is after getting all feedback, you discuss with your supervisor. After discussing with your supervisor, then now there is, I hope everywhere, there is a concept of RSC. You present in front of your RSC member. Okay, so these are the works that I have developed for my field work. Okay, then after that is finalized, then you go for pre-testing. What do you mean by pre-testing? That means, or that we call as a pilot testing. That means the researcher, so before go to the finalization of the field, 20, maybe 30, maybe 40 things that you have developed. Go to the field and ask the questions, informations, and you just look at it, what is it, whether the respondent is able to answer or not, that dimension that you have to take care of that. My request is that you are going for the field testing. Suppose I am working in a context, my sample village. So remember one thing, no need of going to the 40 villages which within your sample size. Please don't do that. Maybe within these 40 villages, there are surrounding villages. So you go to the surrounding villages and collect the information from the respondent from the surrounding village, not to the same villages that you have selected. So then you, whatever this source, whether this questionnaire is properly, the respondent is able to answer, whether the question is flow naturally, or whether they are facing any problem. So all types of things. You take the idea and just accordingly, you revise, you modify, and all these things. Okay, so this is the case that you have to very, very clear on this dimension. Okay, so this is something that if you go for, most of the cases, if you go for, you will find this is the case where most
Sorry
of
to interrupt. Your presentation is not.
Madhubala Pandey.
Some
yes.
Madhubala Pandey is presenting, so your presentation has got stopped.
Okay, then maybe no problem. Madhubala, please don't do these things. I think please help me at least. You should at least try to understand that I am speaking. At least you should not be open up. Okay, sorry, forget about that. Okay, so maybe so what I will again leave.
Sir, leave these people and we can continue without presentation, without
Just a
slides.
minute. Maybe 1 minute, then I will stop now. Only 1 minute. Is it stop? If this will allow? Yes. Yeah, is it come?
Yes, sir, it is coming.
So, okay. So remember, so this is many other points are there. So first now I think now maybe you if you have any questions, you just prepared. Now you will open up and one by one we'll ask. Remember one thing. So first, so I think many other dimensions are there. So first point, now I summarize within 2 minutes, then you will ask me. You just first, you should be very clear your research gap, your objective, your research questions, your hypothesis. Most of the researchers, believe me, they do not know what is their research gap. So please, I always ask my students, first point, you tell me what is your research gap. If you are clear on that, you will not face any problem on that. Okay, first point. I will explain if you will ask me question. When you are formulating a questionnaire, at least you should know that what is the difference between questionnaire and schedule. Okay, so when you say questionnaire, I say set of questions. Schedule also set of questions like your name, your father's name, your mother's name, your sister's name, your family size, your occupation. So if you are sending by mail, by courier, by post, the respondent answer and return back to the researcher, that is called as a questionnaire. And same thing, if you go for the field and respondent, researcher asks and the respondent answer, so that is called as a schedule. Most of the social science research, remember one thing, we do through this schedule. So don't be confused on the basis of schedule or questionnaire. Most of the cases you have to think on that. Then all the points that I have given, that you have to very clear on this, that first you immediately just write down, this is my objective, this is my indicator. If you are clear on the indicator, suppose I say infrastructure facility available in the slum area. So you have to, whether road facility is there, Aadhaar card is there, Anganwadi workers is there, health facility is there, Mohila clinic is there. So whatever explain that, you have to very, very clear on that. Okay, so these are the points. I think now I should stop here. You know, just read the slide the difference between questionnaire. And remember one thing, the response rate is very, very poor. Other points are there. So you have to very clear on this issue when you are writing. Now I should stop here. So whatever questions on this, because I have a experience working on that. So our motive is that whatever question that you have, you just ask me. I will try my best to answer whatever the knowledge I have. So I think I should stop here. I should stop sharing. Yeah. Now for you, maybe. So if you have any questions, so you just be open up and speak.
Sir?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir, and thank you so much for the wonderful session, sir. It was really informative. Sir, my question is, again, a repetition, sir, that what is the difference between pre-testing and pilot testing in simple words?
You remember one thing, so don't be confused. So there is not as such any difference between pre-testing and pilot testing. Okay, so some project issue there is there, but for as a researcher, you believe me that the same thing that you are doing, you develop a question, and whether that question is correct or not correct, okay, and whether the respondent is not facing any problem. So in that context, you have to do, okay, whether it address your objective research questions, and you just take up your sample size is 200, you take 20, go to the near to that village, you do it. And that is very, very essential in the social science research.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, what should be the ideal sample size or respondent size for pre-testing or pilot testing?
Yeah, remember one thing. So there is, remember one thing. If you are the researcher, you are master of your thesis. If you are developing, if you are taking 20, that is also sufficient to address the question that you have. So you can go for 20, you can go for 30. So there is no hard and fast rule that you have to keep follow this. So I always say that if you are, suppose your sample size is 300, if you are taking 20, that is sufficient for that. And also many people say
and
that.
Sir, can we?
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, can we use those questions or which are used in pre-testing for thesis?
Yes, sir, you can do this. That is because you want to do pre-testing. So after your pre-testing is final, you have to use your final questions. Please don't, in your thesis, no need of writing anything on the pre-testing. Okay, so you clearly in methodology chapter, you just in methodology, I have developed this household schedule and I have done pre-testing of 20 or 30 or 40 in the field. That's all, only line. No, only final questionnaire or schedule should be provided in the appendix. That's all.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So can we do the pre-testing among the same sample that we have selected, sir, or different groups?
No. I always say, many people say, no, I think it is not a good idea. Those is the sample that you have selected, so you should not collect the same sample for this, because they will be confused. Okay, so there is, so I say, not the sample that you are collecting, so close to that villages, close to that area, you take the sample and collect the pre-testing, not the sample that we are collected for your research work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I want to know.
Sir, can we use both questionnaire and schedule method in simultaneously in a research? For example, like the sample size, the sample audience is like, for example, few people may be educated, so they might be able to answer better in the questionnaire method also.
You can
and
do
for
that.
some people,
yeah, you can do it. No problem. You can do it. Remember one thing, that is your choice. You can use because you need the information. So you have to justify for that. Okay, so you can do it. No, you can do it.
Sir, in case of evaluation studies, if it's a pre and post evaluation study, do we need change the questions in the post evaluation part? Then one more question is not a question actually. I need to I want to have some elaboration on. You said things related to research gap. But can you please elaborate on that further?
Yeah. I'm explaining. Yeah. Remember one thing. Those who are present here, please. First, you ask yourself that why I am doing this research again and again. Because if you are not able to identify your research gap, you will not write your objective, write your hypothesis, write your research questions. So suppose if you go for your first duty is that on the topic that you want to explain, so these, what are the new additions to the research? If you can do that, that is, you have to, I always say that your first dimension, suppose I'm giving one example. You do a study on child labor. Now suppose I want to do a study on child labor. So that means, so you do a study. So this is the repetition of work you do in 2000. Now I want to 2023. So that means it is a repetition of the work, nothing new. So in that context, remember one thing. So you, in your research finding that poverty is the cause of child labor. But now, if I do the same study, poverty is the cause of child labor, that is useless. So maybe with that, maybe the education of the parents, the number of child siblings of this distance school.
True, sir.
Okay, so many dimensions. So what is new dimensions you are with respect to poverty? Then that is your research gap. So that is your new contribution. That we call research gap.
Is it external literature review?
Exactly, 100%. Your research gap will come from your review of literature. I always say, when you join your PhD, immediately start collecting article with area and at least 100 articles. Okay, out of non-different aspects, you just take idea and then go through it and summarize it, and then you develop your understanding. This is the first question.
Thank you so much.
Second question.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Please.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I am from a legal field. I am from law background, and currently I'm preparing my proposal, and I'll not share the topic due to being secret. So, sir, it's basically the contradiction in the laws which is taking place, and my research lies in the field of cyber law. So it basically the contradiction in two acts are given with respect to a particular research. So, sir, with respect to that, do I have to how, and that is a research gap per se. So, sir, how do I convince the board? Just by stating the lacunas, or should I go for a quantitative analysis or something?
No need of quantitative analysis. You just clearly say that okay, these are in the law field, these are the research available on this topic. So far, on the research study cover this dimension. So no study cover on this dimension. So what are the different dimensions? So these are the different dimensions that my study wants to focus. So you clearly do that. Tell to the board. That's all. That is your research gap.
So should I frame a grounded theory for that?
Do that. Yes, do that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello,
sir. Can you give
post, sir? Evaluation study. You had come to that, but there was.
I'm coming. Always remember thing when you are doing post evaluation. So you have to generally you have to, that we can change. Nah, you have to questions when you are evaluating post evaluation. That pre-evaluation and post-evaluation, that your question, that automatically that will change with respect to the question that you have formulated in case of your pre-test, pre-evaluation. So that you have to do it.
But there is such bias, then sir, there is a chance of subjective lens comes into place.
Yeah, that is there. You as a researcher, you have to take care of that. That bias you have to, as a researcher, you have to minimize that bias. You have to think on that.
Thank you so much, sir. And final point, final thing, it's just a request, sir. Can you please share the presentation, the PDF, and recording of this event with?
Yeah, I will do that. We'll do that.
Thank you, sir.
excuse me, sir.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. So myself, Niharika Mahapatra from Utkal University. Sir, I have one doubt that you said that there is a pilot survey and a questionnaire. Sir, I want to ask that is it always same the sample area or and pilot area? I mean, can I collect the data for pilot area for a particular field and the sample area for another field? Can I?
In that sense, that will not provide a real sense picture. You cannot get that much information correctly. So in that sense, generally we say that those who, if you are using by schedule or questionnaire, that you have to decide. And also I say that these samples should be, suppose you are sending questionnaire. So you selected university in JNU. Okay, so maybe in the same format, you can send the questionnaire to the Delhi University, collect the information. If suppose in the case of your field work, if you say, I always say, so the sample should not be equal, that is the respondent should not be same, and be close to that area, that you have to take into account.
That means the pilot area and the sample area must be same.
Generally, we think that close to that, not same, close to that.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, is it good to take the question from the earlier set, sir, or we should start off by framing the fresh question by own? Sir,
always remember one thing: you are in social science. There is no field that you will not go to the previous researcher. You have to. It is a first duty, important duty that you have to first gone to the literature. That is the previous study on the area that you are working. If you get that idea, so then only you can formulate the rest question, rest dimension, that what they have discussed, what they have taken, what they have not taken. That is your business. That is your research gap. That is your research question framework. So that you have to take it into account.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, actually, I have another doubt that the household survey and the individual survey, if I will choose the household survey, that means I will collect the data from total household, from the total household, or I can ask only one head of the household or the earning persons in one else.
Yeah, that is generally, if you go for, that is on the basis of your objective. If your objective is that you want to household information with respect to a research objective, then you have to collect the household information. If you only individual, your research objective is only to address the issue of the respondent, and respondent is the individual. Then in that context, you can ask. Suppose you want to only migrant. Okay, migration you want to individual. Only one individual response, not about the information about the family, which is not relevant for your research work. So with respect to your research work, you have to take it into account.
But sir, in a household, all family members are not, I mean, I can find all the family members in a particular time period. So it is difficult for collect the data from whole of the household.
So you know you are for collecting from the, you have to collect in the respondent out of the household, from these all the household member of the household.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Yes, sir. There is a when we formulate our own question, then how can we check our reliability and validity of the questionnaire? Always in interview, they ask, how can you say your questionnaire is fulfilling your
remember one thing, maybe I understand your question. Who is asking? Shiv Kumar. Who is asking?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So remember, Shivji, if you go for, so you as a researcher, remember always I say, you are master of your thesis. Okay, you are master. So there is a statistical test to reliability test of the questionnaire, the question that you want. Okay, in the statistics. Okay, maybe in future we will do that if possible for the reliability and validity of the questionnaire test. There is some statistical test are there. So that is one dimension. You tell your RSC member, you tell your supervisor that in polite way that, sir, this is the questions that I developed. So with respect to this indicator, variable or parameter, whatever available there with respect to my research questions, objective and all these things, that the information that I will get from this through these questions will address all these issues. So in that sense, you just politely support that. If they are not agreed, then you go for the statistical test for that. Maybe we'll discuss in future if time permits, any class.
So, sir, thank you, sir, for the session. I have a question. I was reading a recent book, Caste Discrimination in Indian Universities, in which author used the different methodology like interviews, questionnaire, like something. Can anybody do the same thing via the another methodology? I mean to say ethnography. Then how I can just differentiate between this method and this method? Because
if you go, Anandji, if you go for these questions, discriminations is now, it is a very, very difficult to measure the discriminations in terms of quantitative figure. Okay, so there is no appropriate methodology if you go for discrimination. So many debate is going on that concept. So whatever the literature that Sukhdev Thorat or Ashwini Deshpande or those who are working in the caste dimensions and gender dimensions, so they have used some methods on that area to calculate discriminations. Okay, so in that context, taking their theoretical understanding, you can maybe develop any idea or any methods to measure the discrimination. And you have to justify this method that I have used would fulfill my concern of this, address this, the questions that I want to measure of discrimination. That you have to justify. Then you can do it, no problem, you can do it. Because I am working on that particularly caste dimension, on particularly discrimination dimension. So there is the format is changing that we call as a hidden discriminations. Okay, so how you just look at a discrimination. Suppose no one is open up say that there is a discrimination. Now you just look at it. So now if you go for, so the form is changing of discriminations. People are not hesitate to maybe in that context. So in that you have to very clear on that with their objective or their methodology, you can add that.
Because sometimes what I found is, suppose a person who is from the marginalized group, when we just ask and take the interview and questionnaire, they're willing to just share their experience. But I think because there is a confusion in mind, is it possible to pursue whole this research through the ethnography method, because you don't know who is from the which caste?
No. You can do. You can take a control group. You can take a control group. Because as a researcher, you have to collect this information. This data is available. So you as a researcher, you have to decide who is this from this discrimination category or marginalized caste, and then who are the control groups in terms of your general caste or other caste. So in that context, you just make the group, and then you just their perception and this perception. Okay, so what is mismatch or what is anything new and that you have to take into account.
Okay, sir. Thank you. It means that we could see, I could just think for that process.
100%.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I want to know, is there any method, which method is better to draft a questionnaire, sir? Any software, sir?
I'm sorry to say, remember one thing, there is no software so far that will address the respondent or that will address your research objective, questions and hypothesis. Then the software will do everything. Please don't do that. Nothing is there. You have to develop your questions and that will address your objective. You are the researcher. This is your contribution. So software will not do anything on that.
Okay, sir.
So there is no software that will put to analysis. There is
sir,
software.
I have to draft it manually, sir.
You draft it manually, and then in case of analysis, you have to do this help of all the software, quantitative, your SPSS data, R views, R, all these things, Atlas TI, qualitative. So that you have to take into account.
Okay, sir.
Sir, I have one more question. In my study, there is a large population, which is more than 400. But is it okay if I select only like 50 or so for detailed analysis, sir?
I think if you are a student of economics, this is generally thumb rule. This is not hard and fast rule. that if you're as a student of economics, you are using econometrics tools, economics applications, in that context, your sample size, if you are taking 300 plus, that is a good sample for your research work. If you are doing ethnographic study, you are a sociologist, anthropologist study, and your population is homogeneous, then if you are lesser, suppose 100 plus or less than that, so that is sufficient for this your PhD work or for the detailed analysis.
Sir, I already have chosen a large population and I will be analyzing the entire population. But for detailed analysis, can I just...
Yeah, you can do it. No problem. You can do it.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question. And before that, thank you very much for this clear presentation. I knew there are so many questions coming up, so I was just rushing. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, in my research gap, I have there are so many studies about the topic, but I was distincting my study as in it is conducted in a different context. Will that be a justification, sir? Similar studies.
That is the research gap, na? So you have to justify. See, whatever the previous study are there, they have not taken into account or not discussed on this dimension. So I want to discuss on this dimension for my research work. That is your contribution to the knowledge in social science.
Okay, sir. Conducting the similar study in a different context.
So generally, you have to different dimension, not similar study. That I have done a study on migration in Behera, you want to do in Odisha. No, that is not the right way. You have to explore different dimensions.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Your study is different from my study. That you have to keep in mind.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, sir. Thanks a lot for this session. I want to ask something, sir. Sir, if my sample size is 20 villages and 21 household from each village, then do I have to make separate questionnaire for household and villages as you showed earlier?
First of all, believe me, if you are taking 20 villages, please don't use this word 20. You have to go beyond that. Not 20 household. Beyond that. Okay, as I do not know what is your educational background, you have to keep in mind. First point. Second point is that you have to not only one village schedule, one that we call as this. So this village schedule motive is that provides summary of the village situation. That's all. So not 20 village schedule, only one village schedule and one household schedule, and your sample size needs to be increased. That's all.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, sir. So my question is about education. I'm taking project under education, sir. So can I take higher education students, like high school students, and higher education means 11th and 12th? Can I take that kind of?
No, that depends upon your research questions. That is what is your research objective? If you are studying only on higher education, then you can take only higher education. You don't go for the school education. If your combination, your research work is on both combined, so you can go for this combination. You only depend upon your research objective. On that basis, you will determine your sample size. Who will provide? This is the motive of the respondent. The respondent will answer the questions that I have in my mind. That's all.
Because I'm taking under climate change, so I'm planning to take for high school as well as 11th and 12th.
Yes, you can do that. Yeah,
with the age-wise, can I make it?
That is your choice, but no need of doing age-wise. Maybe okay. I think this is not a good idea. You go for higher education and school education and what is their perception on climate change, if I am remember correctly. Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
What is their understanding on this climate change on different parameters? Okay. That you can explore on that.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. You were mentioning about a software for analyzing an open-ended question. Could you please tell it again?
That is Atlas, A-T-L-A-S, atlas.ti. T for Tamil Nadu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sir, actually, I want to share one of my experience, sir. Sir, I am a sociology student. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, speak.
Yes, sir. I am a sociology student, and recently I went to my pilot research work, and then there, relating to my research work, I had to go to the, sir, to the social welfare department and also to the police station to inquire about some kind of like, my topic is actually related to, sir, cybercrime. So basically, when I like introduce my topic to these particular like officials of this government wings, so basically they told many stories to me, like this happened, but they were not willing to share me the exact information or the exact like response from the these respondents they had, like, or the criminals.
I understand.
So in this
I will
case,
add it.
like, I wanted to do the bigger research, sir, so that I could cover up the bigger scale in the society.
Yeah.
But I could not do it because of this restriction, because they
Sorry.
literally said they have some kind of, sir, ethical values. They have to keep it. So how to approach, sir, like these kind of people, or if there is another way that I should go or adopt to.
Yes, in that sense, maybe, so as you are working on that, so maybe if you are using, yes, because you see the way you are proceeding, maybe that I'm not expert in that area. In that sense, maybe if you can directly contact list or address list from these police stations of the problem, the cyber crime you are talking about. Okay, if you
Yes, sir.
identify that beneficiary, so those suffer for that, or those who are any sources, not from that, any sources, if you are getting this information for that, maybe you can get a larger information on this content. And also you as a researcher, you have to develop your understanding that where I will get this information on this topic, not only this source. So in the other methods, maybe you are more commanding on that. You just explore any alternative to which I can collect the information from about my research problem. If you identify that, maybe I hope you can proceed for that. This is a really interesting area, but how you will proceed, that you have to take into account.
Yes, sir. Actually, I have found out the, sir, variant idea to how to proceed this, the victims actually. So I have found a way, but at least I wanted to like do the research to the large extent, which I could not do that.
No,
as
there
of
is
now.
in that case, your sample size should not be in the large. You see, this is a special case, and this is a really interesting study for that. So in that sense, you can go for the smaller sample size, and they are detailed study on that, different parameter on that. You can go that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Uh-huh.
Sir, my question is what is the ideal number of questions? Matlab, how many questions would be in a questionnaire, sir?
Many people ask this question. Remember one thing. Oh, I always say again and again same thing. You are the master of your thesis. If your 10 questions is addressing your research objective, you are getting the information that is more than sufficient. General idea is that try to avoid not like 20 pages, 30 pages questionnaire. Don't do that. So you seek, okay, if you are only 5 questions, you address your objective with the information that you are getting from the 5 questions, address your first objective. Like that, you have to decide. There is no any parameter that will decide that the number of questions should be asked for that. No, that is no hard and fast rule. If your objective is answer with the 5 questions, then you proceed that.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I have one more question. Sir, can we merge two scale like 5-point Likert scale and checklist in the same questionnaire?
Yes, you can do that. You can do that.
Okay.
You can do that.
Thank you so much, sir.
So you can combine everything. That is your choice. You are the researcher. It is your choice. You can combine that. That is not easy. Because your analysis will be different, na?
Yes.
So not from that only Likert scale is different. Your checklist is different. You can do that.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I am Dr. Janak. My question is, can a questionnaire take the form of a schedule?
Yeah, there is some difference are there. You
Sir,
know that is not exactly.
जैसे कि हम किसी रिस्पोंडेंट को क्वेश्चनर ना पकड़ा के खुद उससे क्वेश्चन पूछें और उसके रिस्पांस को कलेक्ट करें, क्या वो शेड्यूल बन जाएगा उस टाइम?
उसमें तो तुम वो तो शेड्यूल हुआ है, तुम उसको पूछा है, तुम तो वो शेड्यूल बन जाएगा, उसमें क्या दिक्कत है?
जैसे कि कोई 16 पीएफ टाइप का कोई टेस्ट है,
हाँ,
हम किसी रिस्पोंडेंट को ना देके अपने आप खुद फिलअप करें उससे पूछ के, तो वो शेड्यूल बोला जाएगा।
सर शेड्यूल बोला जाएगा।
थैंक यू
वो
सर।
शेड्यूल बोला जाएगा, यही तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ। तुम खुद पूछ रहा हूँ, उसको क्लैरिफिकेशन है तो क्लैरिफिकेशन मांगेगा, जो भी है वो इन्फॉर्मेशन प्रोवाइड कर रहा है, आप भर रहे हैं सर, ये तुम्हारे लिए तो शेड्यूल हो गया ना।
यस सर, थैंक यू सर।
हाँ, please unmute yourself and speak. Don't wait for that. If you have any other questions, sir, I can just go to the.
Hello, sir.
हाँ.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. This side Sarthak.
हाँ.
Sir, recently I am conducting survey in Kandhamal district.
हाँ.
Like on the turmeric farmers. So I have to collect the data from the offices, like official data. How many farmers are there in this block, in this village? But there is no they are not updating in internet. So how could I mention them? Like how can I cite them? Yeah, how to mention in the paper that?
In that sense, that you whatever the office that the official document that you collected from the office whenever you visited, so you just mention this. I have collected this information, secondary data information from the office of this Kandhamal development office or micro project office on from 2020. That's all you mentioned that.
Okay.
If internet many information are not
Sir.
available.
Will it be valid?
Yes, 100%. Why not? You are not doing anything wrong, na? You are not cheating anything.
Okay.
You are not providing any information. You just do that. The official source. This is the official source you are getting.
But we cannot give the citation, right?
Citation, you just give the official website. Sorry, official office address. That's all. Government of India, Kandhamal district. This. No proper citation.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Hello, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
हाँ.
सर एक्चुअली जब मैंने लिया था, रिसर्च शुरू किया था, तो मैंने सेम लोकेलिटी का एक इतना सैंपल साइज मेंशन कर दिया था, बट अब मेरे को उतना सैंपल वहां पे हो नहीं रहा है, लोग माइग्रेट कर चुके हैं, तो फिर मैं जहाँ पे माइग्रेट कर चुके हैं तो मैं उधर से सैंपल ले सकता हूँ क्या? बट मेरा एरिया वो है जहाँ वो परमानेंट रेसिडेंट है सर।
ना, उसमें दिक्कत होगा, उसमें नहीं कर सकते हो। सैंपल साइज कम कर दो और क्या, सैंपल साइज कम कर दो।
तो सर सैंपल साइज मेरे को जो मेरा तो रजिस्ट्रेशन है, तो फिर मेरे को एक पूरा प्रोसीजर के तहत वो करना पड़ेगा क्या?
रजिस्टर सैंपल साइज 100 के जगह में हम 90 किया, तो उसमें कौन सा प्रोसीजर सैंपल साइज में कौन जा रहा है इतना बताने के लिए कि ऑब्जेक्टिव तुम्हारा तो चेंज नहीं हो रहा है ना। यू जस्ट टॉक टू योर सुपरवाइजर और RSC मेंबर्स एंड
नहीं, ऑब्जेक्टिव चेंज नहीं हो रहा है।
And then fine, just tell to your RSC members and do this.
Okay, sir.
If this is the genuine cause for that, in that sense, you just write a official letter to this your RSC supervisor and head of the department and do that. This is not a, I think, hard and fast rule.
Oh, okay, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
हाँ बताइए।
Good afternoon, sir.
हाँ good afternoon.
What should be the ideal sample size for a research topic, sir? As in my case, there is a comparative study of Dalit and tribal group. What should be the ideal sample size?
Remember one thing: if you are taking as a student of economics or any statistical econometrics tool, you can take 300 plus. If you are a sociologist, anthropologist, and all things, other discipline, and you are doing a qualitative study or ethnographic study, so in that context, your sample size, if you are taking 100 plus, that is sufficient for that.
I'm a student political science, sir.
Yeah, you can do that. That is not issue. Do that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, I have request.
So I have a request.
Your voice is not audible.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, tell me.
Sir, I have a request from you. Sir, please bring one session on how to face interview for PhD entrance, what types of questions are asked and all.
Okay, maybe I will do that. I will do that. I will do that. I will do that.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, actually, I want to ask, is it necessary to validate our tools for sampling or data collection?
Some people are now doing this. You can do that. No problem. That
So is it necessary? Because
No, not
there are so
but-
many types of validation, and it is making the data collection process very tough.
Exactly. There is no hard and fast rule. If your supervisor, RSC members, and department is posting them in that,
As
you have
my
to do.
research is in exploratory in nature, and I'm using the mix method, but I'm not getting it to how to validate it.
No, not required at all. I don't think so. I don't
Okay,
think
sir.
so.
Okay,
In
sir, thank
exploratory
you.
research, it is a really difficult thing.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah.
Sir,
Ah.
sir, will we get some certificate for this workshop?
Please remember one thing. It is I say from the first that we are only doing for the benefit of the students. We are not expert in providing certificates. Our intention was not to get the certificate. Our intention was that the problem that we are facing, that at least I can reach at you and I can clarify your doubt. Certificate is not at all the debate of discussion here, because I am not expert in that. This how to make the certificate in terms of this whatever this is there. So we are not providing any certificate. Our motive is that students should get maximum benefit on this issue of different parts of the country. That's the motive.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, hello.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Huh.
Yes, sir. Can we get your number, sir, for future assistance?
100%. You just write a mail. My mail ID there. So you just write a mail. So I will share with that.
Okay. So thank you, sir.
My email ID there. Now, do you know my email ID? I'm just writing in the chatting box. Behera. Just write down. I will give my personal mobile number.
Just.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Sir, I am working on political integration of tribal in the PESA area. So, sir, can you suggest me what will be the major parameter for this study?
You see many dimensions in terms of you just look at the how far, what is the, whether it is objective fulfilled or not, what is the implementation status on that. Actually, the whether these people are getting this the managing of the forestry, whether they are getting the assessing this non-timber forest product, whether women participation is there or not. So many dimensions with respect to PESA, you can explore that and do that. Many
Sir, what
dimensions.
will be the ideal sample size?
Sample size in the PESA contest, if you can do it on the basis of you are student of economics or you student of any other discipline?
Anthropology, sir.
Anthropology, then you can go for, I say that if you are taking this 100 sample size is more than sufficient.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, I have another request. Please conduct a workshop on the data analysis part, sir.
Yeah, we'll look. Yeah, you will do that. We'll do that. Maybe in future we are conducting different programs. This is our motive, that our students should not face problems. So because of that, we are conducting this program. So I think 1,000 students registered for this program. I do not know how many of have joined this program. So in that contest, maybe 100% will take care of that. This is only our motive of doing this thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
So can we get the recording of this session?
Yeah, you will do that. You will have, there is, we know that Swami Vivekananda Loka Sansad. So if you click on that, maybe I will say, Pradeep sir, to share this link. So you just go to whatever the lecture that I have taken or anyone taken. So there is YouTube channel. So all the recordings are available there. You can access directly there. Sarang sir, you just share this link. I hope you just Swami Vivekananda Loka Sansad. You just click on the internet, you will open a link on the very web page, and that all recording are available.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. It was a very nice discussion, and all participants around the corner of the India, from top Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and from Gujarat to northeastern states. So around 300 number of participants, different universities, around 70 number of universities, what I have seen from the registration, were joined in this workshop, and it was a very informative, elaborative, and explanatory. Everything is explained very simply and understanding for our research scholars. Before we end this was a very good kind of discussion. I definitely, many of our research scholars have benefited for this discussion. We take some feedback, at least two feedback from at least one from our male research scholar and female research scholar about this workshop. This is 2 hours workshop where Professor Behera sir elaborately discussed all the things relating to how to prepare questionnaire regarding our research works. So before closing, we got at least want to know feedback from any of two voluntarily. One female participants may share voluntarily about this workshop, or one from me. Voluntarily, just unmute your mic and just share within 1 minute.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
It was a excellent and informative session. And we get so many informations from this workshop, and in future we will connect through new events from this Swami Vivekananda Loka Sansad. So we are glad to join here. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone from our male participant, please?
Hello, sir. My name is Gaurav Gupta, and very thank you for this amazing session, sir. It was very informative and very clear thought process session, and thank you, sir, for your all contribution and effort towards doing this kind of workshop. We will be hopeful for your future engagement with us also, and thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Gaurav. So this is the purpose of this organization.